I never used to be the kind of man who snoops, or at least, I told myself I wasn't. Amelia and I had been together for 5 years, 2 of them as husband and wife. We met in college. She lived in a world of vibrant sketches and mood boards, studying design with the kind of passion that radiated. I was neck-deep in mechanical engineering, all equations and technical schematics. We were opposites from the start. She brought chaos, I brought order. Or so I like to think. Just 3 weeks before our second wedding anniversary, her friends planned a weekend escape, a girls-only retreat to Lakewood. She left that Friday, full of affection and cheerful goodbyes, promising she'd be back by Sunday evening. Nothing felt off. Everything seemed fine, at least on the surface. Saturday night rolled around, and I was sprawled on the couch half-focused on some movie when I heard a ping from the kitchen. It was her laptop. She'd left it open on the counter. At first, I didn't give it much thought, just a stray message, I figured. But then it pinged again, and again. Eventually, curiosity edged out hesitation. I walked over and glanced at the screen. It was a group chat, Amelia and her friends, Delilah, Lena, and a few others, whose names I only knew in passing. I froze. Part of me knew better. I shouldn't read on. But the flurry of laughing emojis, the OMG Amelia, you're insane, messages tugged at something deep and uneasy. Then I saw them. Grainy photos, snapped in a hurry. One showed her dancing atop a table, a shirtless guy grinning behind her. Another had her perched on some stranger's lap, holding a drink, her smile wide and carefree. And then the words hit. Still can't believe what you pulled off in that bathroom. You're a legend now. One message hit harder than the rest. Adrian's gonna have competition now, huh? Adrian. Me. My name, tossed in like an afterthought. I felt my stomach tighten. I scrolled faster, my pulse climbing. Then I saw her message. Amelia, laughing it off, casually admitting she'd hooked up with some guy named Landon. Just one time, she wrote. Just for the thrill. I sat there in stunned silence, unable to tear my eyes away. Then I started collecting everything. Screenshots of every image, every message, every damning word. I backed it all up, onto a flash drive, then to my email. When I finally shut the laptop, I couldn't move. I stared at the wall, the version of Amelia I'd believed in slowly crumbling in my mind. There was no coming back from this. I knew it then. The next morning, she breezed through the door like nothing had changed, tossed her bag down, came up behind me, and wrapped her arms around my waist. Her cheek rested between my shoulder blades. "Missed you," she whispered, the sweetness in her voice almost convincing. I gave a slight nod, not taking my eyes off the coffee mug in front of me. She circled to face me, frowning slightly. "You okay?" I forced a thin smile. "Yeah." Her mood lifted instantly. She pulled out her phone, scrolling through sunlit memories, posed photos of paddleboarding, bonfires, smiles by the lakeside. Carefully curated, not a trace of Landon, not a hint of what really happened. I nodded again, silent, while she played her part to perfection. When she went off to shower, humming a tune like any other Sunday, I sat still, watching her phone where she'd left it. I didn't need to look. I had enough already. What I needed now was an exit plan. As the sound of running water filled the apartment and the scent of her shampoo floated out from the bathroom, I opened a duffel and began packing. My laptop, passport, some clothes, emergency cash from the drawer. The smell that once felt like home now made my stomach turn. My eyes landed on the wedding photo above the television. We were smiling, holding hands, surrounded by our families. It looked fake now, like a scene from a play we once believed in. From the shower, Amelia called out cheerfully, "Hey, want to get brunch?" I zipped the bag slowly. "Sure," I said, "just give me a sec." What I meant was, I'm making sure I have everything I need to disappear, not escape, not panic, just leave, quietly, completely. No dramatic confrontation, No yelling, just absence. I wanted her to step out into silence, to feel the space I no longer filled. Let her wonder. Let her sit with the not knowing. Because if I was certain of one thing now, it was this. She didn't earn an explanation. I waited until late in the day. She'd gone out to meet Delilah and Lena for coffee, giving me a narrow window of time. As soon as I heard the door click shut, I grabbed the duffel and headed to the car. I didn't see anyone. No one stopped me. It felt strange, surreal, like I was moving through fog, but necessary, like pulling a splinter that had festered too long. I left the keys on the kitchen counter. No note, no final words, just emptiness. Before walking out, I took one last tour of the apartment. The bedroom, the kitchen, the living room, each corner filled with echoes that no longer rang true. It all felt staged. I didn't feel sorrow, not even anger. I felt detached, like I was observing the unraveling of someone else's life. By the time the sky had shifted into gold and lavender hues, I was already halfway to the coast. I paid cash for a budget motel. Nothing fancy, just enough to hold me for the night. It was all I needed. I shut off my phone and cut myself off from the noise of the outside world. Silence settled around me like armor. For what felt like hours, I sat at the edge of the motel bed, unmoving, eyes fixed on the stained carpet beneath my feet, while the ancient air conditioner choked out its final breaths in the corner. Eventually, stillness gave way to a gnawing urge. I turned the phone back on. 30 missed calls from Amelia, 10 voicemails, countless messages. "Adrian, please, where are you? I'm losing my mind. Call me back. This isn't funny. Are you safe?" As I kept scrolling, her words spiraled from desperation into rage. "If you're mad, just say it. Don't vanish. Don't be a coward. If you're done, at least have the decency to say it." For a fleeting moment, I thought about answering, but the thought passed quickly. She had shattered something sacred, and now she had the nerve to demand honesty. I switched the phone off again and tossed it onto the nightstand. A freight train groaned somewhere in the distance, the vibrations humming through the floorboards. I lay back, arms tucked behind my head, staring at the discolored ceiling above. I didn't know where I was heading next, but I was certain where I wouldn't return. I was done going back. By day 2, the ripple effects had begun. I was halfway through a soggy sandwich from a gas station when the phone lit up once more. More missed calls. Friends, extended family, even Celeste, Amelia's mother. I let them all go unanswered. All except one. When I saw Roman's name appear, I picked up. If there was one person I could count on through this storm, it was my brother. "Adrian, Jesus, where have you been?" His voice was tight, laced with worry. "I'm okay," I said, barely above a whisper. "I just needed to get away for a bit." A pause. "This about Amelia?" "Yeah, she crossed a line. Now I'm drawing mine." Roman didn't push for more. He never did. "Whatever you need, I'm here." "I know," I told him. We ran through the basics. My location. What came next. He offered his place near the lake as a retreat, but I told him I wasn't ready to see anyone. Not yet. I needed time to let the fog in my head begin to lift. Just before we hung up, he gave me a quiet warning. "Don't let her take control of the story, Adrian. If you stay quiet too long, she'll fill in the blanks." He wasn't wrong. Amelia could be impulsive, but never foolish. She knew how to twist things to suit her needs. I'd watched her do it before, bending the truth just enough to justify her actions. If I stayed silent, I'd become the villain, the heartless husband who vanished without a word, the one who couldn't handle a rough patch. That wasn't the version I would allow her to spread. Later that night, I sent a message to a small circle, the people who needed to hear it from me. My parents, Roman, a few close friends. Amelia was unfaithful while she was away. I found out. I've left. I'm okay. Please respect my space while I work through this. I attached the proof, the damning photos, the screenshots, the receipts. No embellishment, no commentary, just facts. Then I powered the phone down again. That night, I slept deeper than I had in months. There's a strange kind of peace in owning the truth, even when it reduces your world to ashes. It didn't take her long to track me down. 3 days after I disappeared, a knock rattled the door. I didn't have to look to know who it was. I cracked it open a few inches. Amelia stood on the other side, her sunglasses perched in her tangled hair, eyes swollen and red from crying. She was wearing my old sweatshirt, the one she used to steal from my closet in the early days. Whether it was a plea, a manipulation, or a reach for comfort, I couldn't tell. "Adrian," she said, her voice quivering. "Please, can we talk?" I didn't move. "How'd you find me?" She hesitated. "Delilah, she tracked your card." I let out a dry, humorless smile. I should have stuck to cash. Even though my gut told me not to, I let her in. The room instantly felt smaller, tighter, suffocating. She wasted no time. "I know you're furious. I know I hurt you." "It was just one night," she went on. "A horrible, thoughtless mistake. I was drunk. I didn't mean for it to happen." I leaned against the dresser, arms crossed, watching her unravel in front of me. "Did you not mean for it to happen?" I said calmly. "When you whispered to Landon in that bathroom?" She winced, the pain fresh and raw across her face. "I swear, Adrian, it meant nothing. You're the one I love. You're my husband, my whole world." "Doesn't feel like it," I said flatly. She stepped toward me, reaching. I pulled away. "You don't get to cry victim," I told her, voice cool and steady. "You made your choices. Now you live with the consequences." Tears spilled freely down her cheeks. Maybe they were real. It didn't change anything. "I'll do anything," she whispered. "We can go to therapy, move somewhere new. I'll tell everyone what I did. I'll fix this." I walked away from my job, told her I was ready to spend the rest of my life trying to make things right. But as soon as the words left my mouth, I knew they were wrong. "You don't understand," I said quietly, shaking my head. "This isn't about fixing what's broken. It's about realizing it was never whole to begin with." She stood there, paralyzed, tears streaking her face as if she were trying to find her way back to a place that had only ever existed in her imagination. Eventually, I moved aside and pulled the door open. "You should go," I said. Her mouth opened, like she might plead or protest. Maybe she was reaching for one last excuse or a desperate rewrite. But she didn't speak. She walked past me into the night. I closed the door behind her, turned the lock, and for the first time since everything unraveled, I felt a quiet, almost eerie sense of peace. Alone, yes, but no longer carrying the weight. By morning, the messages poured in. But this time, it wasn't just Amelia. It was Delilah, Lena, people I hadn't heard from in years, now suddenly full of concern. "You're overreacting. It was just a mistake. You're seriously ending a marriage over this?" I didn't answer a single one. I knew exactly what was happening. Amelia had already begun revising the past. Her version cast her as the grieving wife who made a single misstep, and me, the cold husband who walked out without a second thought. But I didn't care anymore. When you stop needing to be believed, the truth no longer requires a witness. Roman called later that day. "You holding up?" he asked. "Better than I thought I would," I said. He paused, then added, "You know she's at her parents', right? Celeste's telling people you're going through some kind of midlife crisis." I actually laughed. First time in days. "Let them tell themselves whatever makes it easier to sleep," I said. "I'm done performing." That night, I found myself on the shore, beer in hand, watching the sun bleed into the horizon. The scent of salt and distance hung in the air. Couples passed by, holding hands. I expected to feel bitterness, but it never came. What I felt instead was something stripped clean, not shattered, purified, like the blank space after the last word. Earlier, she'd texted me once more. "Adrian, please, I'll do anything. Just call me, please." I stared at it for what felt like hours. Then I deleted it, left it unanswered. Not every ending needs words. Some just need silence. I stayed on that beach until the light faded, until the sky shifted from gold to deep blue. Tomorrow I'd return to Romans, begin picking up the fragments. But tonight, I let the ocean carry away what was left of the life I no longer belonged to. In the days that followed, I found a lawyer, filed the paperwork, no outbursts, no spectacle, just quiet decisions. A week later, I was in Roman's backyard, helping him finally fix the fence that had been leaning for years. It felt good, the sun warming my shoulders, sweat on my skin, hands covered in earth. Simple. Real. My phone buzzed from the bench. I wiped my palms on my jeans and picked it up. Unknown number. I answered anyway. "Adrian," said a soft voice. "Celeste, Amelia's mother. I hate to bother you, but I thought you should know." I said nothing. "She's not in a good place," she continued. "She's seeing a therapist, living here with us. She regrets everything." "I'm sure she does," I said calmly. A pause. "She still hopes you'll talk to her. Just once." I looked out at Roman hammering a new board into place. "I'm not angry," I said, "but there's nothing left between us." Celeste hesitated. "I understand. I'm sorry." I hung up without saying another word. That evening, I wrote a short email to the mutual friends who hadn't yet chosen sides. "Thank you for respecting my space. I wish Amelia the best, but I'm moving forward. Please don't contact me about her again. Firm. Final." 2 days later, I changed my number. Rented a small place on the other side of town. No shared drawers, no framed photos on the wall, just quiet and room to breathe. Sometimes, yes, the memories drifted in, her laugh echoing down the hallway, her voice stumbling over song lyrics in the car. Faint, harmless. They didn't hurt anymore. They were just echoes from another life. When the date of our second anniversary arrived, the one that would never come, I barely noticed. Time had already done its work. And the strangest thing of all? It wasn't revenge. It wasn't anger. It was freedom. The kind you don't realize you've been craving until the moment it finally finds you. This story has come to an end. What's your opinion? Share it in the comments, my friend. And if you like this story, check out other exciting videos on my channel. I'll say goodbye until the next video. See you.